the beautiful Potomac River. So today it's going to be about dispelling hoaxes. This
Oh, dispelling hoaxes. Mr. George Webb, the Grand Master of hoaxes, aren't we, Mr. George Webb? How many hoaxes have you done over the period of time? Well, let's not forget the Port of Charleston. But that's not exactly why I'm here. What this is about. You see, this new person that's appeared on the scene got my attention. And it's this gentleman here, with his site, The American Awakening. Now, I want you to remember this symbol there, people. And let's play something, shall we?
Planning to do when I arrive in Ohio. I'm not going to say who or where because the problem is I got a lot of people telling me that I shouldn't go to Ohio. They're saying that there's infrastructure in place that once you get into Ohio, they can't help me. And I'm just thinking, wow, I'm literally a verified DOD whistleblower. I was an information assurance security officer for the Department of Defense for 10 years. I filed a whistleblower complaint against General James Jones Dynology in 2015 when they constructively terminated my employment for the purpose of, for the fact that I refused to provide administrative access to a classified network, to someone, to a division chief that didn't have the memorandums, the proper documentation to have administrative.
So, we have here Mr. Patrick Berge explaining how he is officially a verified whistleblower and that it was because he refused to allow access for someone to go in there on a security detail. We all got that, we all understand that. So I'm going to take from his own site something very interesting. Here we have the so-called letter, which I took from his site. I've got lots of stuff now. I'm building up a file because this is really getting interesting. So let's read this together. Dear Mr. Berge, this is in response to the complaint you filed with the Department of Defense hotline on September the 30th, 2015, alleging reprisal under Title 10, United States Code, Section 2409, 10 U.S.C. 2409. Contractor employees protection from reprisals for disclosure of certain information implemented by Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplements Subpart 203-9 Whistleblower Protection for the Contractor Employees. You allege that management officials reprised against you for making protected disclosures. So, let's read that bit again. Against you for making protected disclosures. I want everyone to go through this slowly so we're not making any mistakes here. Your former employer, Dynology, is a subcontractor to Engility, the prime contractor under US Army contract. Employees of subcontractors are not covered under the provisions of the version of 10 U.S.C. 2409, applicable at the relevant time. Based on the above, we have closed your case. Should you have any question, please contact Mr. Daniel Lear, Supervisor Investigator, email at Daniel Lear. Sincerely, Tolek Nilgu, Nilgum Tolek, Director of Whistleblower Reprisal Investigations. Against you for making protected disclosures. It sounds a little bit different to what you're stating. I'm not making any mistakes there, am I, Mr. Berge? I'm just asking. After all, we're not accusing anybody here. I'm taking your own words from your own site. That's what I am doing. Let's take it back a little notch. about here. There's about there. Let's go there.
I was an information assurance security officer for the Department of Defense for 10 years. I filed a whistleblower complaint against General James Jones Dynology in 2015 when they constructively terminated my employment for the fact that I refused to provide administrative access to a classified network.
So, I'm a bit confused, Mr. Berge, but hang on a minute. I have something else. You see, you have another website. Very interesting. Oh, look, Dan Bongino, your nemesis. Because, so let's go to the victim of the SWAT. So let's play this, shall we? So here we go, the day after I filed an official report of fraud, waste and abuse. Disclosing information, stopping somebody getting access. Which one is it, Mr. Berge? This is 2017. Just curious as to which one it is. You see, you have 3 different answers to what you're stating. Oh, by the way, you are not a verified whistleblower because you even put the document up yourself. So why are you telling people you're a verified whistleblower? But here we have MOPS Network. So I told you to recognise the symbol because this is also very interesting. A non-profit 501c3 recognised organisation providing online services to benefit the moral and welfare of our military and families. Lots of stuff in here. Pro athletes. Can gaming help in the treatment of PTSD? Seems counterintuitive but showing real results. So I want to get to that in a minute. But first of all, let's have a little bit of fun, shall we? I am going to click on this link. You are all witnessing, I am not touching anything else. I'm clicking on the link now. So it should take me to mopsnet.org.
When the fuck are we going live? I can't do this shit anymore. Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. What the fuck? Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. You son of a bitch.
Hang on a minute. Let's just to prove that I'm not going mad. Let's press that again.
When the fuck are we going live? I can't do this shit anymore. Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. What the fuck? Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. You son of a bitch. Fuck.
So you could do that for yourself. I'll link the MOPS network and you can do it for yourself. There's got to be a logical reason for this. But what I'm also curious about is ShadowNet. We're not going to talk about the Ukraine misinformation you're trying to push out at the moment, Mr. Berge. That will leave for another day. And I'm going to talk about MOPS network on another day. I want to see how you respond to the fact that I've got 3 bits of evidence there and now got this bit of evidence here, which really does make me have serious questions. But here we have Dynology Corporation, which is an old page. It's not the new site, because if you go to the new site and type in ShadowNet, it doesn't see it anymore. So products, software. Here are all the list of all the software. Let's zoom it in so we get a better view of it. So here we have all the different things here, but here we have hardware, ShadowNet. So we're going to have a discussion soon, the difference between software and hardware. I wonder if I can get that any bigger or if it will just distort, sadly. Let me see. Oop. Search jobs, create accounts, manage accounts. It's a little bit different from the one that's on your site. This is what you put on your site. Creates a protected sandbox. Now, sandbox is an interesting thing, you see, because sandbox is also connected with gaming in the gaming world. You are aware of that. And also about the Ukrainian elections. I'll get into the Ukraine story because that is my passion, and I've been dealing with Ukraine, investigating that for quite some time because there's a lot of stories behind that. And like I said the other day with John, is that the big key to all of that is Privat Bank. But I'll digress for now. We're on about ShadowNet. So here we have ShadowNet, an active defense infrastructure for insider cyber attack prevention. The ShadowNet infrastructure for insider cyber attack prevention is comprised of a tiered service system that is able to dynamically redirect dangerous and suspicious network traffic away from production servers that provide web, FTP database and other vital services to clone virtual machines in a quarantine environment. That sounds like a hardware. If it's got tiered servers, this is a hardware. It's not software. So we're going to get a little bit more information on that. But as for another piece of information, just for the shits and giggles of it, I mean, you're talking about 2009, yeah? Around about that time when you said ShadowNet was created. Who gave it the name? Was it a gamer that gave it a name? I'm going to ask that question because here we have ShadowNet. Oh my god! Single player missions. Okay, ShadowNet. Welcome to the strategic mission interface. Co-op missions. What's on here? Home, leaderboards, forums, social network. Is this your social network media thing here? I'm just asking. I mean, this is ShadowNet. ShadowNet is a social network tool for Splinter Cell Blacklist players can register for free at https://shadownet.splintercell.com for few stats, challenges and compete against friends. Stay connected. Oh, just curious here because here we have again ShadowNet. ShadowNet, also known as ShadowNet, was a sub-branch within the third echelon that operated around 2006 and 2007. So don't forget, Splinter Cell came out in 2002. And Splinter Cell is also Tom Clancy. There you go, Tom Clancy. So, again, I'm asking questions. They're very valid questions. I'm asking questions because there's a lot of discrepancy in the things that you're saying, Mr. Berge. But to have this buffoon, this man here, this is the major BS merchant on the internet, who was trying to make out, what was the recent one about the China virus. Again, this guy didn't do his research. He calls himself a real reporter doing research. Well, here, George, here's some evidence. Have a look at it. Ask the questions. Here is a guy that appears out of nowhere after 4 years saying he'd been in Korea for 5 years, which validated the thing as well. Oh, and there's one other thing I want to show as well, which is on this video here. There you go. Psychological Operations Task Force Iraq Operation Center. So does that prove you were actually in there, or does that mean you were stood by the actual sign that was within the base? You see, that's the thing here. This image doesn't prove you were psychological operations. It proves you were in Iraq. It proves that you were by the actual plaque for the department, but doesn't prove you were in it. Now, why would somebody who's in psychological operations advertise the fact of that? Why would they have a photograph of that? I'm just asking questions, because surely that would come under the Official Secrets Acts or classified information, because that is actually classified within Iraq. Or isn't it classified? I don't know. These are questions we need to ask. So upon that, I'm going to leave you with all these questions to ponder on. But don't forget, I mean, I've got to play it on the way out, because it, just to prove it again, it didn't link that. So let's click it. And as I said, I didn't do this. This is when you click.
When the fuck are we going live? I can't do this shit anymore. Fuck Trump and fuck these fucking people. What the fuck?
So, which also links, actually, funny enough, George Webb, before I go, wasn't you the one that kicked off about Alex Jones and how you were hijacked and it was fake news back at the time when you were Jason Goodman? Funny thing, I have to remember that. Oh, and that's right, you accused Steve Pachenik of writing A Clockwork Orange. Or does everybody not forget what you did there? This sounds very fishy, that the guy here, Mr. Berge, that you got involved with, has got on this site, Alex Jones, with Fuck Trump, where you had a problem with Alex Jones and InfoWars back at that time in 2017, and had your little meltdown over it, which you did a video for, which I have still a copy of somewhere. I'm just curious, as all you people are integrating, as to what this scam is. Because again, I want to know more about the ShadowNet as a whole, because if it's hardware, it's the software we got to be looking at. And don't forget, when we're talking about social media, that's run by these own companies. Now, to talk about Ukraine, I will talk about that another day. But for now, toodle pips.